What's going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. I want to thank you guys for joining me for another replay battle. Today I've got a 4 versus 4 for you with some pretty familiar faces in it, and this ended up being a really close game, and I don't think anyone was really expecting it to be such. We didn't realize there was a river battle, which is actually really funny because the army I took ended up being almost perfect for this sort of combat. But yeah, I mean, we were just gonna kind of play it by ear, and no one was really prepared to play here, and it ended up being really, really close. So without any further ado, let's take a look at some of our army comps, and then we can jump into the replay itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. So the first army we're going to look at today is the forces of Arun, being commanded by yours truly. I've got a couple units here of the Variag Mercenaries, and they've got armor and I think maybe attack upgrades. I think the idea there was to use them as makeshift mid-tier infantry after they had run out of ammunition. I've also brought one unit of Eastron crossbows with their armor upgrade. And I've got, I believe, 3 companies of the Loke Flag Rim, 3 companies of Gamp Rim, and 2 companies of the Scion Rim to form the core of my army. And for a solid support unit here, I've got the Combal's Chosen. It can be very useful with their morale effect for keeping Arun's forces in the fight for an extended period. I thought this was going to be kind of a field battle, so I ended up bringing a couple units here, the first Variag Mercenary Riders. I've given them armor and attack upgrades as well. Over here I got the Eastron Horse Guard with their new armor upgrade in patch .97, and they've also been given armor and attack upgrades. I expected that I would be facing off against Rohan, and indeed I am, but not in the same sort of manner as I expected that I would be. Over here I have the Dragon's Breath Cannon, and it's pretty interesting. Now this model here is very much a placeholder, so this isn't something that the team rather is married to. Yeah, I brought it just because I figured it would be useful for making the Rohirrim come to me in a field battle, maybe getting some cheap shots off on their infantry and cavalry before their big show starts. But bringing it to a river battle like this, it's just such a great place for it to be. But that's going to do for my army. Let's go ahead and see what one of my allies has brought. And we have the forces here of Angmar being commanded by one of my clan mates. This is a Death Eater. He's brought some hidden goblin units. He's got some goblin band right there, Guardians of Karn Doom, and some orc halberds in the center, or on his wings. And then in the center, he's got marauders and Witchrealm pikemen. And he's got a similar setup to myself with heavy infantry here, a mixed front line, and then he's got his support sword and board bodyguard unit in the back, in the form of the Witchrealm Blackguard. He's got a couple companies here of Warg Riders and one company of Witchrealm Inquisitors, and also Trolls of Gundabad. Super happy about how these guys are looking right now. We got the model and the texture from, I believe it was Leo or Calypso. He goes by either. It was the alternative patch mod, I think that's what it's called. And yeah, we got the model and texture from there, and I put a little bit of extra on here with the war paint, and I changed the colors up a little bit to fit Angmar a bit more. And then over here, we have the Trolls of Angmar. They're a little bit more offensively oriented. Pretty snazzy. It's a really good look for this unit. The other one was alright, but it was pretty dated. And I think that's gonna do for Angmar. I don't think they have anything else hidden. So let's move on now to the third blue team player. We have Umbar being played by, I'm not sure how I would say this, Yo Ranger 0123 or Yoringer. I don't know. I'm going to go with Yoringer just because that's easier for me to say. And he's brought some Beligir Footmen, and he's mixed them in with Beligir Pikemen. He's also brought some Beligir Archers, and the majority of his forces over here across the river. More Beligir Footmen and Pikemen. Alcarondes Legion, because of course, you can't have a solid Umbar army without the Alcarondes Legion. They are just too good to pass up. Well, you can't pass them up, but in any case. Narnar Sentinels here, useful support unit. Really solid on the battle line as well. You have the Warlords of Umbar with their new stylish golden accents. It really does contrast very nicely with the black and the silver. I believe that was Sin of the Dark Cloud. It was a good idea. It turned out very nicely. I think he might have some Rangers hidden around here. We got some Adonai Shield Guard, 2 companies of them. Beligir Footmen, Beligir Archers. I think there might be some hidden units over here, but we'll see them throughout the course of the battle. Moving on now to the 4th and final blue team army. We have Isengard being commanded by Katunka the Easterling. He's brought the Isengard Ballista, which again ended up being awesome for this particular battle. He's got some crossbowmen here, 2 companies of them, Uruk-hai pikemen, Uruk-hai infantry, all of the Uruk-hai, really. A bunch of Uruk-hai archers here, 3, possibly, yep, 3 companies of them. Dunlending clansmen as well, and some Nazakai for his general's bodyguard, and then Warg Riders there. I think that's good for the Isengard army, unless he's got some hidden stuff nearby that I'm not seeing. So let's pop across the river here and take a look at who's going to be facing the blue team today. And we have the Realm of Mirkwood, commanded by GOC Mango Masher, which I believe is a new clan on the 30 Reforged Discord. It's nice to see all these new clans popping up. For a while, I think we only had like maybe 2 or 3 of note, but now we've almost doubled that, so that's great to see. He's got some Hiriauth with their new armor, not armor upgrade, rather their reskin. A little bit of silver filigree on there that was not present previously. And they got a bit more of a mahogany look to the armor instead of the, I can't remember what it was before. It was like bright red and things like that. So he's got 3 companies here of the Hiriauth, perhaps just 2. 2 Hiriauth, Hirilong in behind them with their armor upgrade, which I have to say, I'm pretty happy about. It looks great. It looks really good. In behind them, Scouts of Emenduir, Blades of Emenduir, and then another unit of Spears of Emenduir. I shouldn't say Scouts, it's Spears. Spears of Emenduir. Hirilong, Elders of the Elven King, and I know he's got some Ents around here. They're hanging about somewhere. They could just be up in the forest hiding. Ents are one of the few monstrous units that are able to do that. Over here in the center, directly opposite Umbar, we have Dale being played by Y2K86. He's brought some Dalian Bowmen, a whole bunch of Dalian Bowmen. I think they are upgraded. They are not. They're just the regular old Dalian Bowmen. So 2 companies of them there. 2 companies of Bardian Marksmen, who are a really solid infantry unit in addition to being strong archers. So it's an awesome unit to bring, and I see people bring them all the time now, which is great. In behind them, got some Dalian Spears. 2 companies of Dalian Spears? Awesome. 2 companies of Barding Herd. Got some dismounted Earls of Dale. Dalian Paladins as well. And then a little bit of a cavalry force. So 1 company here of Dalian Cavalry and 1 company of Earls. I think it's 1 company of Earls in any case. There's gotta be some hidden stuff up here. This can't be the whole Dalian army. I think there's probably a few things hiding here and there. But let's move on now to the third rather. Red Team army. We've got the Realm of Lothlorien. Now's a good time to show off some of the reskins for Lothlorien. They looking damn cool. And they're being played by Prophet today. He's brought a bunch of Lorenod Swordmasters, I think 2 companies of them here. Company of Blades of the Wood without their armor upgrade. And behind them, Lorenod Archers. 2 Lorenod Archers. Some Watchers of the Golden Wood who are just so sexy and so damaging. 'Tis awesome. Kindred of Celeborn, 41. With their split shot projectile. A lot of Lothlorien's unique projectile units are getting here, which I think is pretty cool. It's always nice to see them in action. In behind them, got some Lorenon X-Men, Lorenon Mounted Company, two units of Lorenon Mounted Company, and a unit here of Riders of the Golden Wood. And then finally, down here in the lowlands, making his way over to his teammates' positions, we have the famous UMAD Commander. He's going to be playing as Rohan. He's brought some Sons of Eorl, a lot of cavalry, in fact. Again, I want to stress this. We thought this was going to be a field battle. 'Twas not. 'Twas not a field battle. Riddermark Skirmishers, Red Shields of Erkenbrand, a nice little bow/melee cavalry hybrid. I think there's some Riders of the Fold here, a couple units maybe with the Riders of the Fold. Eastmark Riders, so got some Lancers mixed in there as well. Bunch of Westmark Infantry, Meduseld Guard, a couple units of the Shield Maidens of Rohan with their new model. Damn, they pretty. And if you're looking at these and you're thinking, that looks a lot like Lagertha from Vikings. Yeah, that was very much the point. In behind them, Eastmark Spearmen. More Eastmark Spearmen. And we got some more cavalry in behind, so some more Eastmark Riders, and Riders of the Fold, and some Riddermark Skirmishers. So it's a field battle-centric army. So it'll be interesting to see how UMAD can deal with this setback and get some value rather off of his cavalrymen. But that's going to do it for the army comps. Let's go ahead, jump into the battle. I hope you guys enjoy. So a couple of things that I forgot to mention while everybody gets set up for this for the pushes across the river. This is a battle that was actually done on stream, and I've been doing a ton of streaming lately, so if you'll forgive the shameless self-plug on my own video of all places. If you guys are interested in either watching the streams or joining me for some streams, or maybe even catching up on some prior battles, all of which are posted up on my Twitch channel, you can find my Twitch down in the description. And we usually have a lot of fun on stream. I'll play some like chill music for a couple hours, and we'll do some games with various factions and different maps and a whole bunch of stuff. So it ends up being a lot of fun, I think, for everybody involved. And a lot of the battles that you'll be seeing over the next coming days that have turned out amazing have actually been drawn from my stream. So it's a lot of fun. I recommend you guys come and join me. But on that note, on my stream I will usually put a 60-minute timer on my matches, just so that things remain manageable time-wise. And so yeah, there's a 60-minute timer on this match, which is something that we were all very painfully aware of. And so it's going to devolve into a lot of pushing and chaos, and we're going to play things a little bit differently than we might have otherwise, which, you know, maybe is a good thing. Maybe it's excellent that we're not going to have 30 minutes of strategic skirmishing across the map before we decide to commit and make a big decision. So yeah, that being said, we're going to go ahead, fast forward a little bit here. One of the things that I noticed about Lothlorien is that they were super exposed up on this hill. So I'm trying to inch my dragon cannon forward to get within striking distance of the closest unit on their front line. So I really wanted to go after the Blades of the Wood and try and use the spillover to bounce its way through the massed ranks of Lorien, because that would just be devastating. If I can kill 100 elves a volley, that's amazing for me and my team, and devastating to Lothlorien's manpower, because they've brought in a lot of elite units here. They can't really afford to take casualties like that really quickly, especially when I'm striking from a place of near impunity, if not complete impunity. So over on this side, Yeoman Commander forming up alongside his allies, and it seems like they're going to take a really strong position here in the center. And this is going to be where a lot of the infantry ends up, trying to hold on to the center line. And this is where they're going to gather their force, whereas it doesn't really leave a lot of options for cavalry until we make the crossing. So Yeoman Commander is actually going to start shifting some of his cavalry over here to the aid of Mirkwood, and then all hell is going to break loose. So we're going to go ahead, fast forward things just a little bit here. Oh, what do we got down in the center? Seems like the Lothlorien cavalry has been brought forward. They're going to take some pot shots here at the Beligir units. I mean, it's fun to watch them knock these guys around a little bit, but it's not really doing a ton of damage. There's not a lot of them, and they're firing dead on into shields. So units like the Riders of the Goldenwood, they have some interesting tactical uses, but this is not really one of them. They have decently damaging arrows, so obviously they will kill a few people off here, but it's simply not worth it. Not a very productive use of their very limited ammunition. And Umbar is going to fire back here with his Beligir archers in a strong defensive position, and one of the Riders of the Goldenwood is going to fall on the bridge here. And continue to skirmish down the Dalian bowmen, who have taken a surprising beating here fighting with the Beligir archers, although the Beligir archers aren't exactly their match in terms of survivability and quality. However, the Dalian bowmen here are fairly well matched with them, especially with this particular unit, which I think has their armor upgrade. Nope, they do not have their upgrade, but nonetheless, the 3 or 4 shield and Beligir archers plus their 2 or 3 armor, I believe, is pretty strong for them. So realizing that my opponent Yeoman has really no intention of crossing the ford here, I'm going to start to shift more and more of my troops over onto this end, and now I think is a good time for us to begin to fast forward here a little bit. Yeoman's going to fall back with some of his cavalry, and at this point on stream we were kind of discussing that this was going to take forever, so nobody really wanted to lose the game, I guess, by default, or go into a default draw, because we run out of time. So we kind of came to a gentleman's agreement a little bit that we would all push. We'd all push together at the same time and try and make it as entertaining a fight as possible. So we're going to continue to fast forward here just a little bit, and you're going to see more and more of these forces moving forward and looking to do a little bit of light skirmishing before we come to our mutually agreed entente. Nice position here from the Bardian marksman Y2K86, getting some good shots here into the Isengard Ballista, which has gotten itself probably a bit too far forward. It could stand to be a little bit farther back here towards the shed. That might bring them right out of the range of the Bardian marksman. Yeah, you can't be too careless with your ballistic crews like this. That being said, the Isengard Ballista have full plate armor. They've got about 9 armor, so it's not going to be too bad. Ooh, what are they going after here? claiming the lives of a few of the Dalian spearmen. I'm going to try and do the same with my Dragon's Breath Cannon. I think I've managed to clip maybe a few of the Eastmark units here. Oh, let's see if this actually ends up being productive. Boom. Not so much. Not so much. Didn't even get a nice bounce. That's kind of what I was going for, with the projectile able to bounce the way that it does. So I could just, boom, shoot through the length of this formation and get like maybe 60, 70 kills on a single volley. Over here, I managed to clip the Westmark infantry pretty well. That being said, not a ton of damage was done there, although that's maybe about a dozen or so of the Westmark infantry. So we're definitely softening them up, and now you can see the push beginning to happen as both myself and a Death Eater begin to converge our forces onto this single choke point, which this is going to be a tough fight. This is a swamp area here, so it is going to slow us down a little bit, and the entrenched defenders are very, very well prepared for this. Oop. More volleys coming in to soften them up, and I'm actually going to cleave through a unit of Meduseld Guard and kill about a third of the unit right off the bat, and then you, my commander, is going to realize, oh dear, this is not fun. And you can see the bounce there. Look at that. Devastating volley. This is exactly what I wanted to have happen. I got so much value off of my cannon in this. I was really, really happy that I brought it. Although a lot of that really does come down to a little bit of circumstance. We didn't know we'd be fighting a river battle, and the Dragon's Breath cannon happens to be perfect for that kind of combat. So you can see us beginning to ford the river here. Angmar leading the way with some cheap Snaga Stalkers. I've also got my my Lok Gamprim in the fight as well, and they're going to be here with the trolls. And Angmar bringing all of their cavalry and a significant portion of their infantry over as well. This is the push that is going to make or break our two armies, I believe. And I've committed almost all of my heavy infantry to this. However, I am making a secondary fording a little bit farther downriver with my Scion Rim and with my Eastron Horse Guard. The intent here being to draw their attention with the main body of our army, and then to come in from the rear, because I don't know if you've noticed this, Lorien has begun to move their way towards this position. So this is going to be 3 fully stacked defending armies against pretty well myself and Angmar for a very significant portion of it. Umbar is hanging back for the time being, which is not the worst idea, I guess, in sort of normal circumstances. You want to try and hold your defensive positions in a river battle like this and wear down your enemy. But right now we're pushing. They kind of need to push alongside us, but eventually they'll get to that point. Blades of the Wood here trying to push against the Belgier pikemen and such, and it's not going to go well for them. Those elven units will be swiftly defeated. Over here, Mirkwood and Rohan coming in like a wrecking ball, and our poor teammate Katunka the Easterling, well prepared in manpower though he may be, is really going to struggle to hold back this massive tide. His only hope is to bottle up the attackers here on this riverbed, and he's not committing enough troops forward. He's kind of moving in waves, but I think he's going to start to realize just how big of a threat this poses, and as more and more of these troops begin to trickle their way through his defenses, he's going to realize that he needs to get in and shut this down, and shut it down as quickly as possible. He's got Isengard archers, Snaga skirmishers, everything moving forward to try and bottle up the attackers here and use this very narrow river crossing to his advantage, because that's the only way he's going to win here. He's very, very outnumbered. Almost the entirety of the Rohirrim cavalry wing has been brought to bear against Isengard, along with the powerful elves of Mirkwood. And you can see some of their troops have managed to get through. Ents have pushed their way through as well, and they're going to go after some of the more vulnerable units that are going to be particularly troublesome for Isengard. That being said, particularly troublesome for Mirkwood, rather. But that being said, hopefully Katunka the Easterling has the foresight to put these units onto defensive formation. It's going to be extremely useful in keeping them firing, which is what he needs above all. And this is the thing that his enemies are going to try and prevent at all costs. So back here, Nazakai. The Nazakai should definitely be forward. They're an extremely powerful counter to Ents. The Ents are going to run a little bit roughshod here all over Isengard, and part of that is because he doesn't commit that bodyguard forward early enough. The Ents can be shut down very, very quickly by powerful AP units such as the Nazakai, so it's definitely ill-advised to not have them in the fight immediately once those Ents have been committed, because they're a very potent counter. Meanwhile, over on the other side, I've lost almost an entire company of my Gamprim in the crossing. Angmar and I have taken some pretty serious losses just trying to get feet on solid ground. That being said, some of the Vanguard is pushed forward. Got the Trolls here hacking apart the Lornon Axemen. These Trolls are not going to win this fight, not against this many Elven infantry, but they will seriously chew up this one unit here. Dale trying to get in there with some of their cavalry. Y2K trying to support his ally. More and more Lorien units pushing down the hill. Dale has moved forward, and battle has well and truly begun. The Lothlorien archers are now fairly safely nestled in behind, some of them in behind the position. Others have taken a stand over here near the mouth of the crossing outside of the swamp area, and they're trying to bottle us up, but they're not really as able to effectively do that because of, well, part of it is the quality disparity, I think, between our troops. We'd be able to fight our way out of it, especially against a lot of the things that Rohan and Dale have arrayed against us. Oh, my flag ram, this is a bit of a problem here. Something that I would like to see done with this map is maybe run the smooth tool over this ridge, because I was only able to move up in very narrow areas, which again played exactly into the missile-heavy compositions. It played to the strength of the missile-heavy compositions that were arrayed against us, and having my troops bottled up like this, they're just getting absolutely massacred. And there's not really a lot that I can do about it. I'm just trying to push here towards their army, trying to maybe shut down some of these units and prevent them from destroying what's left of my army, but there's really only so much that I can do. Over here, Bardian marksmen being targeted down. I've got some of my own archers down here in the crossing, and they're exposed on the flank and the rear, so I'm going to put some rear fire into them, try and relieve some of the pressure. I got my camels chosen in the fight as well, and they're going to hack their way fairly swiftly through the Dalian units, but that being said, this is a tough fight. This is a really tough fight. They've got so many support units and so many reserves that it's really going to come down to Angmar's infantry. You can see that their cavalry is coming in support of said infantry, and the Lornon Axemen are really taking a beating here. One of the things I noticed that Death Eater did really well in this battle was that he used his cavalry exceptionally well. Umbar's over here as well with some of their warlords of Umbar, teaming up with the Witch Realm Inquisitors, and Prophet kind of let himself get run over here a little bit. It's a bit unfortunate, I mean, for Prophet and his team at least, but Angmar and Umbar are taking full advantage of that mistake, and they are just running over him, running roughshod all across this Elven line. And yeah, I don't know why some more of these units aren't being committed to the fight here as well. Angmar is swiftly gathering a foothold, more and more reinforcements coming across. I've got my mercenary riders here. Ooh, and a big shot there from my dragon cannon. And there's going to be some juicy hits. So one of the things that I noticed fairly early on, especially in the center, is that I was getting absolutely destroyed. My flag room were on the verge of routing, so I decided to take advantage of this. These guys were going to lose and probably flee at any moment, so I'm going to have my Dragon's Breath cannon here begin to focus down on them, and let's enjoy the results. Some more reinforcements pouring into the line as more and more of the red team are committed forward to try and stop this advance, but wait for it. Oh, it's so beautiful. It's so disgusting, but so beautiful. And that's going to rout a lot of my units there. That's going to basically break my center, but it was a price I was willing to pay. I hit these Rohirrim and Dalian units pretty hard, and really it's just, I was going to get more value shooting into this blob than I was with anything that those remaining two units were going to accomplish. So I think it was a good sacrifice, kind of giving up a pawn there to take a knight or something like that. And there's at least one more juicy shot that we're waiting on. Oh yeah, here it is. God, I love the Dragon's Breath cannon. And then those two shots are going to bounce off into the stratosphere and actually bounce all the way to the end of the map. Oh, not this one. There's a different volley that does that, though. But let's swing on over to the Isengard Mirkwood side of things. And it's a total nightmare. Look at this. The slaughter was immense, but Mirkwood's got a lot of missile units here. We only got some Wardens of Amon-like as well. Really strong unit. So Isengard is going to make a fateful decision, and they're going to push against what remains of Mirkwood. I personally don't think that was the best decision, but you know what? They're really struggling here. They managed to win a lot of that infantry fight. They carved away a lot of Mirkwood's infantry, but they're still in trouble, and there's some knights on the other side. Rohan's somehow managed to get their cavalry in behind them. Oh, the Sindar of the Girdle, who I didn't even realize were here, also in behind them. So it was a tough decision, and Isengard is they're just gonna go for it. I'm going to try and inflict as many casualties onto their foes as possible with what few numbers remain to them. Got some pikes here to guard their units from the rear, and more pikes moving forward. Yeah, it was a tough situation for Isengard all around. We weren't really able to come to their defense either, because Umbar is actually engaged right now in... Oh, no, they're not. Umbar totally could have come and helped them. What am I talking about? And it's a shame that they didn't. But Umbar does have some of their units across the way there, and they've now begun to commit some of their other troops forward to capitalize on the bulwark that we've made on the other side of the river. Got a couple companies here. My Scion Rim, a lot of my units have arrived. My other flanking units have arrived here. It's some much-needed reinforcements. Both companies of my Variag mercenaries trying to put some fire into Lothlorien. This is really our number one target at this point. You can see my Eastron Horse Guard going for a nice charge here, but unfortunately it wasn't the rear charge that I was hoping for, and yeah, it's really not going to work out well. One of the things to note about Lancers is that their charge can be blocked if the target has a sufficient amount of melee defense. So my Horse Guard there, they want to get rear charges into Elven units like this, because I think they've only got about 14 or so charge damage. So a lot of the Elven units have around or above 14 skill, so frontal charges aren't going to work well against them, because they can either parry or dodge the incoming lance. So you want to go for the rear charges, but unfortunately I wasn't really able to. Warlords of Umbar still charging around, managing to whittle down some of the Lothlorien elites, which is where a lot of their strength tends to lie. Kindred of Celeborn have been brought forward. Earls of Dale have been brought out as well, and they're trying to deal with some of the Angmar infantry. But just look at this. This is just a disgusting slaughter in this riverbed. And up here as well. There's big blobs of troops dead everywhere. And more reinforcements pouring over the river. More Guardians of Karn Dûm, Witch Realm Pikemen. Umbar is going to start to commit some of their forces forward. And now Umbar is finally going to make a move on the center. And move in and support the rest of us. And it's kind of a big problem the way that Umbar decided that they were going to play this. By not pushing into the center while we were fighting all of these troops over here, the defenders were able to basically just shoot at us at will and concentrate a lot of their forces on dealing with our numerically superior and disadvantaged pushing troops, whereas this needed to be like the main thrust of our attack. Umbar should have at least launched some sort of diversionary attack. The assistance with the cavalry was definitely very much appreciated and is contributing to Lothlorien's fairly swift defeat here, but nonetheless, this needed, I think, to be played a little bit better on Umbar's part. They need to be more aggressive, and this push that we're seeing here needed to happen a good deal earlier. If we had coordinated and moved as a kind of a three-pronged attack, I don't think that the defending troops in the center would have been able to hold out quite so long as they did. And now Umbar is really only going to start to move in and engage after the fight between Mirkwood and Isengard has been settled. So at the same time as we're getting reinforcements, the Mirkwood Elves are dealing with Isengard, and they're going to slowly begin to trickle in with reinforcements, and they have the advantage here. I have no illusions, and neither should you, about Mirkwood winning this fight. They're going to massacre their way through the units that have been sent to hold them, but these are just throwaway troops at this point. A lot of their killing power, their archers, their elites, still intact. A lot of Hiri Pang over here as well, who make excellent infantry. They're going to be able to just shoot the poor Isengarders to death. And yeah, that's pretty unfortunate for them. And now more troops coming in from the rear, Sindar of the Girdle, and 4 of the remaining Ents. But let's see here. Umbar now evacuating the other side, pushing to this end. And Dale is going to have time to react. Dismounted Earls, got some Paladins here as well. Some Kelduin River Patrol. And they're going to be in position and ready to receive this assault from Umbar. And there's some Rohirrim reinforcements as well. Most of the Riddermark archers here aren't exactly amazing infantry, but hey, the numbers are going to be appreciated. Ooh, just in time. Just in time. Look at that. That was beautiful. It's going to rout some of the Angmar halberds that were there, but that's okay. It's another calculated trade-off, essentially, as that cut right through the center, routed a bunch of the Greenwood lumbermen, and did a lot of damage to the infantry that was here. So the Dalish troops had the advantage, but our artillery really has been an amazing equalizer in this game. We've done so much damage to their infantry with that cannon alone. I think it finishes the game with like 400 kills. It was just so powerful for us. Umbar has made landfall on the other side. Got some Corsair crossbowmen and other things like that coming forward, but again, this should have been done way earlier. And his belly, this comes down, I think, to some situational awareness issues on the part of the Umbar player, letting this unit get into the soft, squishy underbelly and not trapping it here with the Naranara Sentinels. Or not, at the very least, setting up a shield wall formation with the Belegar footmen at the mouth of this bridge and allowing no cavalry to get over was a big mistake on his part. So some fairly critical errors here, I think, on the part of Umbar. Over here, Belegar footmen pushing against the Rittermark archers. They're beating them down. Adonai Shield Guard doing well. But now they've kind of got us under control on the other side. We've taken such heavy losses. Most of my infantry is gone. Angmar is struggling. We're still trying to clean up Lothlorien and some of the other Dalish reinforcements who have moved in to delay us even further. And the defending red team has just done an excellent job at beating back the waves of our assault. And part of that is down to their excellent teamwork and their strong situational awareness. And part of it is down to some mistakes on our end as well. I feel like I'm picking on Umbar here, but yeah, a lot of this it was made possible by Umbar being far too passive and not helping out Isengard and not moving in at the same time that we were assaulting the positions on the opposite side of the river. It was just such a critical mistake, and it's really paying off for the red team right now. Barding Herd here, getting the beat down. I've actually begun to move forward with some of my Eastron crossbowmen, and we're going to rain down death and destruction upon these Barding units, so we are going to be able to fairly quickly and ably crush the Dalian reinforcements. I got some Umbar Alcarondas Legion on our side as well, which is a welcome sight. And then over here, Belegar footmen, got some pikemen as well. They're going to move in against this Dalian position here, although I think trying to push up the hill was probably not a great idea. Maybe using the pikes instead to form up a bit of a barricade here so that these troops can't come down this side. Might have been useful, although that might have just meant that the Dalian troops could just switch to the other side, but then of course we would have been able to move up and occupy this position as well. So I think trying to push up here with these poor Belegar pikemen who are just not up to the task was a bit of a mistake. Got my Variag mercenaries now on the other side. Angmar has rallied with some fresh reinforcements. Angmar Marauders here. Got some Scion Rim, Alcaron S Legions, some crossbow Corsairs, mixing it up with my Eastron crossbowmen, and we're just raining down pain upon the Barding Herd. And Lothlorien has more or less been extinguished at this point. You can see dead pockets of elves here, there, and everywhere, but it cost us. It cost us a lot of infantry, a lot of time, and a lot of our more elite cavalry as well, which is unfortunate. Lothlorien launching a bit of a counter-offensive here with the Lornon Swordmasters. My poor Flag Rim fighting them back, along with my... Is this my Scion Rim? My Scion Rim should be in there as well. And they're taking a bit of a beating, and now my Camel's Chosen, who I actually pulled out of this fight over here to try and preserve the unit, has come to their aid as well. Though it's worth noting that at this point my general has in fact fallen, I think? Unless that's him right there. No, maybe I still have my general. Huh, what do you know? And over on this side I've got my Scion Rim, and I'm going to start to bring them towards the river crossing here. Oop, there goes the Lothlorien general, cut down by the Witch Realm Inquisitors. A nice rear charge there against the Kindred of Celeborn. Up here, some more Umbar reinforcements that should have been brought to the other side, being hacked to bits by Rittermark skirmishers. I'm not even sure that they can... Maybe they can reach these units here on the other end. But speaking of, Umbar is actually getting beat down now by some reinforcements. Meduseld Guard, UMAT Commander, shifted some of his remaining infantry over to this side, and now Umbar is being swiftly destroyed. And again, this is something that wouldn't have been able to happen if we were pressuring them in 3 places simultaneously. They wouldn't be able to just switch their reinforcements but from crisis situation to crisis situation if all of them were occupied by the sheer weight of a 3-person assault. So yeah, Umbar, they've helped a little bit, but in a lot of ways they've actually contributed to the rough situation that our team finds itself in right now in pretty big ways. Over on this side, Angmar has managed to just be so aggressive and push through the lines. Alcaron S Legion have been committed here as well, along with the Trolls of Good and Bad, and they're overwhelming the Bardian marksmen. And we have defeated everything that was over here quite swiftly, quite ably. I got some Variag Mercenary Riders here. I have to say, my Cavalry Micro was not on point in this game at all. I was doing it on stream, so I was, a little bit occupied with the blah blah, but that's really no excuse. I needed to use my Cavalry here to to occupy some of these elite archers up here. At least stop them from firing with constant cycle charges, and maybe use them to harass some of the reinforcements that are coming in right now from Mirkwood. So these woodland patrol here would have been a very simple matter to crush this unit with a double envelopment from my horse archers. Horse archers don't have a ton of charge damage, but they do have the mass from their horses when they get off their charge, and 2 of them crushing this unit at the same time, it would have been devastating. So yeah, that's a big mistake on my part. And now these woodland units are going to be able to just fire freely into the Alcarondes Legion. Angmar still doing their best. Nice charge here into the Shield Maidens of Rohan. Earls of Dale doing their best to try and contain this threat, but the Angmar Inquisitors are far beyond anything that these Earls can bring to bear against them. And there goes the Inquisitors there. One single solitary Troll of Gundabad being brought over to try and rout the Shield Maidens. If he charges in there, he could rout him. And here he goes. Gonna just bumble his way in there. Push through the Shield Maidens. Oh, and there goes the Angmar General. That is painful. Poor Angmar. Things were going so well for him, but the Inquisitors, I think, needed to not be in there in this fight. Perhaps a little bit of overconfidence. It's important to note that the Shield Maidens, being hand-thrown units, they do have a small bonus against cavalry. And of course, the Earls of Dale are no joke in that regard as well. Over here, the victorious defenders have silenced what remains of Umbar. Umbar getting attacked from the rear now. Yeah, this is just painful for poor Umbar. They do have some Belegar archers on the opposite side of the river, and they are going to be able to get some minor kills here. But this was a total disaster from Umbar, and maybe he's just a bit of a newer player, or he's still kind of getting used to the new meta, and that's totally forgivable. But it is worthwhile to point out some of these mistakes so that we can learn from them and avoid repeating them in the future. And now the defenders in good order are going to be able to form up. Mirkwood's reinforcements have arrived. What remains of Rohan's cavalry has arrived at a fairly inopportune moment. So I've finally got my act together, brought my Variag mercenary riders against the Woodland Realm. You can see they've done a fair amount of damage there off of just one charge. But now I'm going to have to draw them back because of the presence of red shields, Riders of the Fold. They've got some Ents on the way as well. So now I'm going to have to flee. But I'm going to do so under heavy fire. Elders of the Elven King firing into the rear of my Variag mercenary riders as they retreat. It's not good. This is not a good situation for us. We've tried to move forward here, thinking that we had the advantage with some of our skirmishers and we could use them to shower their reinforcements as they move forward. But we ended up overextending, and now there's no infantry available to defend our poor skirmishers. So we're going to get a volley off here into the Earls of Dale. It's going to hurt. Crossbows hitting heavy infantry like this, it's always going to be damaging. But now we're going to have to flee in the face of our enemy's advance, as much of our infantry is engaged elsewhere. And I think what probably would have been a smart decision, although this is not a bad idea here, getting a nice rear charge against what remains of the Elven elites. We need to kill them, free up the remaining forces that we do have. But I probably could have used my cavalry to maybe delay these guys a little bit more, because now our troops are going to get caught up in this retreat, and they're going to be running exhausted at a disadvantage, and it's just not great for us. That being said, I brought forward my Variag mercenary units, and I'm going to start to line them up and begin to pour some fire into these attacking units. I've also got some reinforcements here in the form of my Scion Rim, and I'm going to use them to hold our enemies in place while we try to batter them with our remaining missile units. And that's really going to be the crux of our strategy at this point, is trying to use our missile units to slice through the fairly sizable numbers of infantry that the defenders still can bring to bear against us. You can just see more and more elites and infantry pouring in, and it was just such a disheartening sight to see all of these units here pouring across the river. I had looked at the Umbar assault a little bit earlier, and I was thinking, oh hey, they got that in the bag. They did not. They did not at all. And then we still got some Belegar archers over here who've kind of been left out of the fight for a little bit too long as well. So again, I know I'm definitely picking on Umbar here, but they needed to pay attention, and they needed to like this is not great, firing into the hilltop, wasting ammunition, but they needed to pay attention, and they just weren't as on point as they needed to be in order to make this assault work and to execute it properly. What do you know, I got my flag rim still over here. They've been fighting forever. They've really been through it. They've been shot in the back by their own artillery, lost most of their number. My general, I think, is dead at this point. Gotta say, I was impressed with how solid my runic troops were in this game. Rear charge here against the Alcaron S Legion. We needed to try and support them, but there's only so much that we could really do, right? Well, what do we got here? Earls of Dale breaking. Got my crossbows. Trying to draw back with our missile units and use the swamp to our advantage. And because we know that any infantry that tries to cross this is going to be really, really slow, especially when they're tired. And we'll be able to just cut them to pieces with our infantry, or with our missile units, and then we'll avoid it with our infantry, which is why I'm swinging wide here around with my Scion Rim and with my Caval's Chosen. And all those damned Ents. Only so much we can do. Angmar Marauders moving forward to try and support my Scion Rim. They are losing, but they're holding out well. Over here, Witch Realm Blackguard fighting against the Woodland Realm. Here, Pang in very low numbers. I got my Varag Mercenary Riders. Again, messing up with my cavalry. I'm not an amazing cavalry commander. It's something that I certainly need to work on, and I'm going to try and work on by playing factions like Arthedain or like Rohan a little bit more. But there's a juicy rear charge opportunity here, and I could save a lot of time and effort if I would just charge into these guys with my cavalry. But instead, they're just kind of sitting here. I'm not really doing too much with them, which is definitely a problem. Let's go ahead and kick these into full speed here as we enter the final leg of this battle. I finally see the opportunity in the Woodland Realm, struggling, not really enjoying this fight. I'm going to go for that charge there. But it's going to get interrupted by a unit of routing Earls of Dale. And then they're just going to get caught, and it's going to be a bit of an anemic charge. So I'm going to pull them out, try and go for another charge. Ooh, a nice rear charge here by the Witch Realm of Angmar. But I'm going to be under pressure from those damned Elven Elders the entire game. I'm going to maneuver them here around to try and get a piece of the Woodland Realm units again. But I'm just taking so much damage here. And there's a bit of a pathfinding issue as well. There's a few pathfinding issues on this map. So my guys are really struggling. So I just decided to throw them at the Hiri Pang here. At least I'll get some value out of them and at least stop that unit from firing. Sons of Eorl have been brought in as well. Ooh, charge here against the Rittermark Archers. And that's going to be enough to rout them. I'm going to go right through them. My Varag Mercenary Riders are going to redeem themselves. I'm going to send some of those Rohan units packing. But right now we're just being defeated piecemeal. We weren't able to coordinate our assault as well as we needed to. And yeah, it's definitely not paying off for us. What do we got here? Trying to kill these damned Ents. There's just a few of them left by drowning them in what little infantry still remains to me. Scion Rim and my Camel's Chosen moving in alongside the Witch Realm Blackguard. And this is kind of the biggest and most dangerous blob of infantry that we still have remaining to us. So a lot of our hopes are being pinned on the performance of these three units. Oh, and there goes Umbar's General, hacked down by the Elven General. My Mercenary Riders cycling in and out, trying to do damage. Maybe free up some of my Scion Rim, who have taken a real beating here, especially from the Dalian Paladins. Angmar moving up with some Marauders, but they don't have their general. They don't have a lot left either. And they're not quite within range, I think, of the Blackguard. Moving in now with some Varag Mercenaries. I'm going to try and go for a surround so that we can win this, because we are beating them back here. But Mirkwood is going to move in with some timely reinforcements, the Elders of the Elven King. And that's going to make all the difference, I think. But still, looking back on this, I feel like it was necessary for me to maybe get a charge off here to surround these guys anyway, rather than throwing these guys into the front of the Elders of the Elven King. It would have, I think, we would have been better off blocking the charge here with some of the units on the flank, but also getting some damage off into this infantry blob in the center. Meadowcell Guard, who have now joined the fray at the same time as the Elven Elders, you really got to hand it to the red team. Great coordination here, and it's paying off. But still, it's close, 94 to 95, and we're still ahead by a few percentage points. And if I could just get my crossbows into position here and start putting fire into the rear and the wing of these units, we could still maybe pull it out. Varag Mercenaries here fighting against the Dalian Paladins, doing their best. There's one end here, just still kicking us around. Not much we can do. Sons of Eorl hunting, running down what remains of the Corsair crossbowmen. 19 crossbowmen coming back and getting themselves into a good position would certainly be a problem. Now that Ent is going to pull out. Got some Angmar Marauders who looks like they've come back from routing. More Dalian units being thrown in by Y2K to just delay my Eastron crossbowmen. Again, the defenders are playing for time here. And it's working out for them. It's pretty even up here. The Elders of the Elven King have hacked their way through my Variag mercenaries with grim efficiency. And now these troops are going to be open to surround themselves. Ent being thrown in. Kicking around my poor Scion Rim. Campbell's chosen doing their best here, but now they're going to suffer a rear charge from the Elders of the Elven King. An attack from the Sons of Eorl. And I think we can see which way the wind is blowing here. This is going to be a tough pill to swallow for us. It looked like we had it at several points throughout the battle. It seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that we would win. But I gotta say, a lot of it comes down to how poorly Umbar played this game. Both Angmar and myself were really aggressive. We pushed, we had a lot of success, but still Umbar sat back. Over here, Isengard was really struggling. They had cavalry in behind their position. It was clear that they wouldn't be able to hold, and still Umbar sat there and did nothing. Really unfortunate to see games lost by passivity, but you know what? It's a learning experience. It's a new patch as well. People, I guess, aren't nearly as sure of factions as they used to be, so I have noticed a fair amount of passivity in some of the games that I've played, and I think a lot of that just comes down to just being new. People will figure it out as they go along. Angmar Marauders here, would have been lovely to have them. They might have helped us turn this around, but unfortunately they were routed. Meduseld Guard cause fear, as do the Elders of the Elven King, so without their general, they're not going to be able to stick around for too much longer, but still, 69 of them. Oh, it's so sad. But again, exhausted, with no army, no commander. You can't expect a unit like that to fight to the death. And down here, ooh, this is ugly. The Dalian Paladins walking into our swamp trap. And my Eastron crossbowmen on defensive formation. We're going to get a last-minute shot off here, and it's going to be glorious. All those Paladins are going to drop like a sack of bricks. The general, however, did make it through, as did one of the officers from the Dale unit, and they're just going to be able to pester my poor troops. Hopefully we can get one final devastating volley off. But unfortunately, none of them are going to hit the Dalian general. But Dale is gone. Rohan, for the most part, is gone. The Elves of Mirkwood have been heavily reduced. All around, it was a really good fight. But we're going to go ahead, kick it into fast forward here. You can see that they're moving down the hill, and still I thought maybe we'll have a chance here. If I can just throw my Variag mercenaries in front of them, delay, play for some time, get my crossbowmen to safety, perhaps they and the Belgier archers over here will be enough to cut these units down, although of course the Elders of the Elven King are a big concern for us. But my commander is going to very wisely avoid our swamp trap, and he's going to get into the rear of my Eastron crossbowmen. They're winding up a shot, and I'm hoping for just one good volley, but instead they're going to rout. And that's pretty well going to be the end of it. My Variag mercenaries are gone. All my troops are routing, so they won't be coming back. And Belgier archers here, laying down some fire as the Elders of the Elven King move forward. If only we had crossbowmen behind them, we could be slaughtering these guys right now. But alas, it was not to be. They're going to make it in there, and they're going to swiftly rout the Belgier archers. That's going to be all she wrote. Still a great game, though. 96 to 98. Can't complain about those kinds of results. Good amount of kills from both myself and Death Eater. Again, we were very, very aggressive. Isengard struggled, but then they were facing like an army and a half pretty well on their own. Their biggest problem, I think, was not committing forward early on and just throwing everything into that choke point and just bottling the attackers up, because then they could have moved across in force with what remained of their infantry, and they could have supported that with their missile units instead of being depleted in their infantry and having no missile units to speak of to help them push their way across the river and shut down the Mirkwood, their Mirkwood counterparts on the other side of the river. So Bit of a mistake there, but I think the biggest problem on our team was the way that Joranger played this. He was so passive at times when we needed him to be aggressive, and then when he started being aggressive, he went across the center bridge where he had no support, there was nothing that we could do to try and help him, and he was just isolated and destroyed. So Joranger kind of lost this for us, but he was helping us in certain areas too, which is very much appreciated. But the defenders did so well. They were coordinated. They knew where they needed to be, and they were there. And it was a really tough defense to push our way through. So excellent job to all of them, and to my team as well. Obviously, I had a lot of very critical things to say about Umbar, but there was a lot of good things that they did as well. And it's a learning experience. So I'm sure they'll hopefully they see this and they'll learn a little bit about what they could have done moving forward. Looking at the casualties here, Dragon's Breath, 400 kills on that cannon. It was beautiful. The rest of my army did okay. Some of my Gamprim just got absolutely massacred. Part of that was the pathfinding, and part of that was we chose a really difficult spot to ford. We could have gone across on the other side, but we also were on kind of a time limit. Blah, 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 blah. There's a million reasons why, but we probably should have crossed somewhere else. But yeah, it was a good game. A really good game. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it, and I'll see you next time. Take care now.